Thanks for joining me. Just me, Ro. Welcome to my channel if you haven't been here before, and if you have, thanks for coming back. Today's topic that I wanted to chat about for a few minutes is what happens when we plateau. It's not fun. We don't like it. I know I don't like it. You know, you work hard all week to lose this weight. You do everything right. You get on the scale and boom, the number hasn't changed. It's the same as last week. So I happened to notice in the Leaf blog through Nutrisystem that there was a little article about some ways to try and address when you plateau, to try to get past it. So they have 5 plateau busting tips that I'm going to share with you. In addition to being it's very discouraging and frustrating. That being said, what is the first thing they suggest that we do? Look at our tracking. You know, the first couple of weeks on any weight loss plan, things are going great. We're losing, and we're kind of in a honeymoon phase sometimes. Some people might call that, I don't know, for lack of a better way to describe it. You know, we're excited, we have this new eating plan, and so on and so forth. So now we have this stall. Well, over time, it could be possible that we are not tracking as closely as we were when we started. You know, maybe we're a month in, maybe we're 6 weeks to 2 months in, and all of a sudden, you know, we know what we ate and we slack with the tracking. Well, that's when there's a great possibility that more calories are coming in than we recognize. Even I would say even go further than that and say weighing and measuring. You know, we stop using the scale a little bit, not totally, but you know, here and there we eyeball it. You know, we put sauce on, it's only 5 calories a tablespoon, but we're not measuring it the way we should, kind of thing. Or even if it's 25 calories a tablespoon, you know, we scantly think we put 25, we could put 50, because we're not really, we think we know, but we really don't, because we didn't measure it. So these little, especially, one thing I found with the Nutrisystem is that if something is 10 calories or less, it's considered free. Now that's great and wonderful if you're here and there putting 10 calories extra into something you're eating. But if you're doing that, there's 3 different things in a meal that's free, and now you're not even measuring it. You could be going from, you know, 30 calories becomes, at the end of the day, another 100 calories tacked on. Now maybe in the beginning that may not matter, that extra calories a day, so much. But as you get closer to goal, calories they matter more, because we're eating less of them in order to get to goal than we were in the beginning. So tracking certain things that are another thing with the apps, the Weight Watchers Personal Points, as well as the Healthi app itself, whichever plan you're on in the Healthi. I report on the Better Balance, which used to be the Weight Watchers Blue plan. But when you go in there and you play with that dial, I'll call it, for lack of it, it's not coming to me what else to call it, and you go up in numbers to see the cutoff from, let's say, 1 point to where it becomes 2 points. For instance, GU's orange marinade, give you an example, it's 5 calories a tablespoon, and it's free up to and including 3 tablespoons. But when you get to 4, it becomes a point. So let's say you didn't bother to track it at all, and here you are putting, you know, like and it's something higher calorie than what I'm speaking of. Let's say it's a salad dressing that's 50 calories a tablespoon. And so you have a tablespoon and you can go all the way up, but you're adding in more calories. You're still only spending a point, but it's adding more calories to your day. So that would be something that I would look at, the add-ins kind of foods first, and not play with that little dial depending which app you're in. Also, the same thing in Nutrisystem. Our Power Fuels and Smart Carbs are 80 to 120 calories. So maybe look at, we do also simultaneously track calories, but you might want to take a closer look at that and make sure you're actually tracking accurately or more accurately. So also the tracking, if you do a better job, let's say for a whole week, it will be a good record to discuss with your coach or your guide, whatever plan you're on, unless you're counting calories and you're not working with anyone. But even for just yourself, you can look back and see where maybe you can cut out some really, non-nutritional type calories, maybe cut back on that type of food add-in to save some for the following week. Okay, so activity is another way to bust a binge. I myself have not been doing the activity I was doing when I was losing the weight. I can tell you, I have slacked off. Today I've only done 5,276 steps. Yesterday I did over 12,000. That was the first time in weeks that I went, not only broke 10,000, but went over. So that's another place to look. Maybe get a few more steps in a day, do a little bit more movement, walk a little faster. You can get the same amount of steps, but you can burn more calories if you walk a little faster if you can. Also, weightlifting builds body mass, muscle mass, which stimulates metabolism and burns more calories. I personally am not a weightlifter, not ever going to be able to be, but there are some people who maybe would want to think about doing that. Exercise is important as you can tolerate it. There are days when, I also can't do my steps because I'm in pain. So if that's what is happening to you, then, you work as best you can with what you have is really what the bottom line is. Okay, I'm just looking at my notes because I always forget things. You all know I forget things. Dinners out is another way to add extra calories that we don't even know we're adding. It's a prime way. You go to a restaurant, you say, okay, I would like my food cooked this way and that way and what have you. Okay, fine. Unless it's a salad and it's coming out with no dressing, we really don't know what they're putting in the food. I mean, you can tell if something is obviously deep fried and, laden with butter. But if it's something that's a mixed casserole, type meal, mashed potatoes, you can't always tell what's in mashed potatoes, let's say if you're having that. So it's something to maybe try to cut back on. I know if you've watched Kim's video on motivation, she talked a lot about how she's made a plan to address eating out because her and her husband really enjoy eating out a lot. And it's an issue for them, and it's something that they have to find a way to address. And she came up with a very good plan. If you're having issues with that, you might really want to take in her video. I shared it on the Facebook page yesterday, so you can find it there. Another one that was discussed, the fifth and final one, is sodium intake. Myself, I cannot tolerate a lot of added salt. Maybe some people out there feel they can, but it is something to consider. If you're having a plateau, especially now in summer, we are retaining water like crazy. I know I am. Something to think about looking into. Have lower sodium options of things if you can. If you can't, well, again, we all do the best we can with what we have. But I thought it was an interesting topic to talk about. I know a lot of people have issues with it. I myself, over the last year, have plateaued many times. I had a different outlook though this time, but I don't think it's a common one. I was just, if I saw a maintain, that meant I wasn't gaining. But that's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about legitimately how to address it if you have a plateau, because there are reasons why we plateau. We may not always realize why. Sometimes it's just something that happens and the following week you lose. That also happened to me as well. But if you're having issues with plateauing, then these are the 5 things that you might want to take a look at. And if after that you're still having issues, then it is a good idea to talk with someone who might be able to guide you better. If you're on a formal plan like Weight Watchers and Nutrisystem, or even with Healthi Bites, you can reach out to people in the community there and ask questions. There are also pages for that app that people belong to on Facebook where they can ask questions, and there are coaches available. Calorie counting, I really can't offer much other than also there is one thing that I did leave out that's very important, is increasing your protein. Staying more in your balancing of your calories, increasing protein, maybe have protein shake, and decreasing your processed carbohydrates if you can. That's just another way. I know for myself, when I increase protein, when I'm losing weight, I lose weight a lot faster. So I thought that was a good point to bring out. So anyway, I hope this video brought you some information that you might find helpful. I just thought I'd share it because it is a topic of issue for a lot of people from time to time, and I thought the article was interesting. So on that note, I'm going to thank you all very much once again for watching. I hope that you liked the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you wouldn't mind subscribing if you haven't, it really does help my channel. Somehow in the world of YouTube, it brings it up under recommended more. The more people subscribe, the more that has a possibility of coming up and spreading it around, so other people might be able to watch it if they want. So on that note, thank you all again. I'm saying goodbye, and I will look forward to making another video for you, and I'll see you in the next one.